Our roundtable is with us, Mary Anna Mancuso, Republican political strategist, author of PoliticalHype.com, a blog aimed at conservative millennials, and News Channel 5 political analyst Brian Crowley, author of CrowleyPoliticalReport.com. We thank you both for being with us this day. The governor, mid-afternoon Friday, signed sweeping gun and school safety legislation into law with grieving Parkland families at his side. We have video from Tallahassee at that signing. As you see the families around the governor, he said, "I did not get everything I wanted in the bill, nor did everybody, but it does look to harden schools, more school security, armed police school security, does allow for teachers to be armed if they so choose, but that will be voluntary county by county." The governor, as you saw him hugging Parkland families, did not approve of that. He does not believe teachers should be armed, but each county can make its own choice. Also raises the age of gun purchases, 18 to 21, bans bump stocks, more mental health screening, gun violence restraining orders where weapons can be taken away. As a lifelong member of the NRA, the governor said, "I don't support an assault weapons ban." Parkland families wanted that. And yet, a year or so ago, one couldn't imagine any of this legislation on any gun restrictions getting by an NRA-friendly territory in Tallahassee with a Republican legislature. With that as a backdrop, your take on the legislation, its impact. First of all, the governor said hopes, an emotional governor, I should say, hopes the impact will be that we don't have to see a tragedy like this again. Speak to that and also the political impact, Brian.
Well, I think this, you know, the governor on Friday did get very emotional. I think he had to struggle for a moment to compose himself. You could tell that he really deeply feels what happened in Parkland. He also noted that his daughter is a teacher. He also said that he believes teachers should teach and not have to worry about having firearms. So, you know, this was a rare moment where the NRA in Florida didn't get what it wants. So there's you know, Florida for decades has been nicknamed the gunshine state because we're usually in the forefront of doing whatever the NRA wants. The shooting in Parkland set a whole new tone, and you know, here we are less than 4 weeks after the shooting, and we already have some legislation passed, and I think that's important.
Mary Anna, your take. On the other hand, Parkland families want an assault weapons ban. The governor adamantly against that, as he said. Many wanted more gun control. Many did not want as much gun control as emerged from a bill that he just signed into law. Your take.
This bill was not meant to be a catch-all solution. This bill was supposed to be an open door and a starting point for everybody to kind of lay the foundation. And what it did is it did what it was supposed to do, which is to ensure that our communities here in Florida are safe and that Parkland families don't have to worry about this happening ever again to anybody else in the state of Florida.
Are we seeing a brief shift in public sentiment or a seismic shift in terms of the gun debate in Florida and indeed nationally? But let's concentrate on our state. Your thoughts?
With Florida, I think there is questions about the gun debate. What we have to keep in mind is that while people are opposed to this and they have this thing like, we're going to start arming teachers and people are going to roll up to your kids' elementary school handing out baskets of Glocks to everybody like candy. That's not what this is about. What this is people are really starting to think about the mental health issues that are surrounding people that are arming guns. And effectively what Governor Scott did on Friday is he picked up where Colorado left off in the Columbine shooting in 2001.
Some will try and write it as a watershed moment for the NRA in terms of some of the gun legislation passed. Others will say, no, this was a specific moment in time given the awful tragedy that Mary Anna eloquently spoke about that they're trying to prevent from happening again. But your thoughts on that, Brian, as we move forward?
Look, I like with any issue, it depends on whether or not they keep the momentum going. What the people who believe in additional gun control, removing assault rifles, for example, you know, they need to work hard to get candidates running in districts around the state where you have people who are, you know, just 100% NRA supporters, and that the NRA can do no wrong. And if you want to change that dynamic in Tallahassee, you have to keep this going, keep working, and make sure you have candidates that support your point of view. That's what the NRA does, and they do it very, very successfully.
And we should add that our previous guest, Congressman Deutsch, said ultimately in midterms we're going to see what the sentiment is in many ways on this issue. Talk about that. Governor Scott widely expected to soon announce a Senate bid. He would be going up against Bill Nelson, who's spoken vehemently before and post-Parkland about the need for more gun control. You're going to have a debate there.
Well, we shouldn't.
Bare minimum on the margins, the gubernatorial debate may surface and revolve around that. As we look to November, how big of an issue will this be, given the trauma we've seen?
We shouldn't forget the Pulse nightclub shooting in Orlando.
No.
you know, the legislative result
Or the
of that,
Fort Lauderdale shooting.
or the Fort Lauderdale shooting, where 5 people were killed.
Shootings.
You know, so we've had 3 mass shootings in Florida in the last, what, 18 months or so. You know, I think, frankly, part of what helped move the ball on this one was the fact that the legislature was facing in the final 3.5 weeks of their session when this happened, and there was some momentum immediately. But, you know, the Pulse nightclub shooting and the Fort Lauderdale shooting also suggest that these things fade away. So it's going to be important that these very smart kids keep it going.
Mary Anna, as we look to November, talk about how it changes the political landscape, if at all, in these races, including the 2 biggies, of course, the gubernatorial and Senate races upcoming in Florida.
Well, when we look at the Senate race, we know that this bill is going to force Senator Bill Nelson to move to the left. The invisible man of Florida is going to have to step to the left, and he's going to have to say that this didn't go far enough, that we need to ban AR-15s, and he's going to actually become the Chuck Schumer of Florida, and then voters in November in a matchup against Scott will have to choose, do they go with the invisible man who does nothing until election time, or are they going to go after a governor who gets things done and shows that he's not willing to ensure that things are going to happen under his watch, and he wants to continue moving Florida forward?
10 seconds.
I think I just heard Bill Nelson yell, ouch. But I think that, you know, Bill Nelson is not going to be as far to the left on this issue as some people think, because I think the issue itself is moving more to the middle.
We'll see its impact. For certain, though, it will be a prime discussion as we look at our politics leading into the fall here nationwide. Back with more in just a moment.